My name is Sarah, and what I'm about to tell you happened just 6 months ago. It changed everything I thought I knew about love, trust, and knowing when to protect yourself even when it hurts the most. It all started on a Tuesday evening. I was mindlessly scrolling through Facebook after a long day at work when I got a friend request from someone named Marcus. His profile picture showed this incredibly handsome guy with the most genuine smile I'd ever seen. Dark hair, warm brown eyes, and this energy that somehow came through even in a photo. I almost didn't accept it. I mean, random friend requests from attractive men, usually a red flag, right? But something about his profile seemed different. He had normal photos with friends, family pictures, posts about his work in international business. It felt real, so I accepted. And within an hour, he messaged me. "Hi Sarah, I hope you don't mind me reaching out. I saw your comment on our mutual friend Lisa's post about travel, and I just had to say your perspective on cultural experiences really resonated with me." Now, I have to admit, I was impressed. He didn't start with some cheesy pickup line. He referenced something specific, something thoughtful. We ended up chatting for 3 hours that first night about everything from travel to books to our career goals. 3 days later, he asked if he could call me. I was nervous. You know how it is when you've only been texting someone? You build up this idea of what their voice will sound like, how the conversation will flow. But the moment Marcus said, "Hello, Sarah," I was done for. His voice was like warm honey, with this slight accent that made everything sound more interesting. But it wasn't just his voice, it was the way he listened, really listened. We talked for 4 hours that first call. 4 hours. I couldn't believe how easily the conversation flowed. He told me about growing up in Portugal, his family's business, his dreams of expanding internationally. I shared stories about my childhood, my work as a marketing coordinator, my dreams of starting my own agency someday. Somewhere around hour 3, he said something that made my heart skip a beat. "Sarah, I have to be honest with you. I feel this incredible connection to you. I know we've only been talking for a few days, but I think I'm falling for you already." The crazy part, I felt exactly the same way. It was like we'd known each other for years, not days. "I feel it too, Marcus," I whispered into the phone. "This is crazy, but I think I'm falling for you too." For the next 2 weeks, Marcus and I talked every single day. Morning texts, lunch break calls, hours-long conversations before bed. He would send me good morning messages in Portuguese and then translate them for me. He'd share photos of his day, his meals, the sunset from his apartment balcony. I started planning my days around our calls. My friends noticed I was glowing, always smiling at my phone. My sister Emma kept teasing me about my mystery man. Marcus was different from any guy I'd ever dated. He was thoughtful, asking about my day, and actually remembering the details. When I mentioned I had a big presentation at work, he texted me encouragement beforehand and called to hear how it went. He talked about the future like I was already part of it. "When you visit Portugal," he'd say, or "I can't wait to show you this restaurant when I come to see you." It felt so natural, so right. But then, 2 weeks into our daily conversations, everything changed with one phone call. We were talking about his day when he mentioned needing to stop by the house to pick up some documents. "Your house?" I asked, confused. He'd always talked about his apartment. There was this long pause. Too long. Sarah, I need to tell you something. I should have told you before, but I was scared you'd run away. My stomach dropped. What is it, Marcus? I'm still legally married, but Sarah, please let me explain. Before I hung up. Just like that, my hands were shaking. My heart was racing. Married? How could he not tell me he was married? My phone started ringing immediately. Again and again. I let it go to voicemail every time. That night, I finally listened to his voicemails, all 7 of them. Sarah, please, just let me explain. Yes, I'm married on paper, but we've been separated for 8 months. We're in the middle of divorce proceedings. I'm staying in an apartment across town. We don't even speak except through lawyers. I know I should have told you from the beginning. I was going to, but then we connected so deeply, and I was terrified you'd walk away before giving me a chance to explain. The divorce will be final in 3 months. All the paperwork is filed. Everything's in motion. Sarah, what we have is real. What I feel for you is more real than anything I felt in my entire marriage. Each message got more desperate, more pleading, but I couldn't get past one simple fact. He had lied to me. By omission, sure, but still a lie. I made the hardest decision I'd ever made. I blocked his number, blocked him on Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. I deleted our text conversations, even though it felt like I was deleting pieces of my heart. My sister Emma found me crying on my couch that Saturday morning. What happened with Portuguese Prince Charming? She asked, settling down next to me with 2 cups of coffee. I told her everything, the connection, the feelings, the marriage revelation. Oh, honey, she said, rubbing my back. I'm so sorry, but you did the right thing. You protected yourself. Did I, though? Because every day that passed felt like torture. I missed his voice. I missed our conversations. I missed the way he made me feel like I was the most interesting person in the world. 2 weeks of silence passed. I was just starting to feel like maybe I was moving on when my doorbell rang on a Sunday afternoon. I opened the door, and there he was, Marcus, standing on my doorstep with flowers and a look of desperate hope in his eyes. How did you? I started. I flew in yesterday, he said. Sarah, I couldn't let this end without fighting for us, without you knowing the whole truth. I should have closed the door. Every logical part of my brain was screaming at me to close the door, but seeing him in person, after weeks of missing him so desperately, I stepped aside and let him in. Big mistake. You flew here? I asked, still in shock. From Portugal? I told you I was falling in love with you, Sarah. I meant it. I'm still falling. He set the flowers on my coffee table and turned to face me. I know I messed up by not telling you about Elena from the beginning. Elena? Just hearing her name made my stomach twist. My wife, soon-to-be ex-wife, he corrected quickly. Sarah, our marriage has been over for more than a year. We tried counseling, we tried separation, but some things just can't be fixed. He pulled out his phone and showed me screenshots, divorce papers, legal documents, text exchanges with his lawyer. See, everything's in motion. It's just a matter of paperwork now. In Portugal, the process takes longer than here in the States, but it's happening. I studied the documents. They looked real, legitimate, but something still felt off as Marcus continued explaining. I started noticing things that made me uncomfortable, little inconsistencies in his story. First, he mentioned that he and Elena still lived in the same house, just in separate bedrooms. It's temporary, he said, until the divorce is final and we can sell the house. Then he admitted they still shared financial accounts. It's complicated with the business, he explained. Everything is intertwined. But the biggest red flag came when his phone buzzed during our conversation. I saw the name on the screen, Elena heart emoji. He quickly flipped the phone over, but I'd already seen it. You still have a heart emoji next to your wife's name? I asked. His face flushed red. That's old. I forgot to change it. But then the phone buzzed again and again, and I could see him getting tense, like he needed to answer but couldn't with me sitting there. Every logical part of my brain was telling me to run. This situation had red flags planted everywhere, like warning signs on a dangerous road. But my heart was breaking, because despite everything, the connection was still there. Sitting across from him in my living room, I could feel that same magnetic pull that had drawn me to him from our very first phone call. When he reached out and took my hand, I felt that same electric shock. When he looked into my eyes and said, "Sarah, you're the first person who's made me believe in love again," I wanted so desperately to believe him. "Marcus," I said, pulling my hand away, "this isn't right. You're married. I don't care if it's just on paper. I don't care if you're separated. You have a wife. But I want you," he said, moving closer on the couch. "I flew halfway around the world because I want you, not her." And God, the way he looked at me when he said it, like I was the only woman in the world, like I was worth crossing oceans for. For a moment, I almost gave in. Almost. "No," I said, standing up abruptly. "No, Marcus, this isn't fair to me. And honestly, it's not fair to Elena either." "Elena doesn't want me anymore," he protested. "We're just roommates at this point." "Then why does she still have a heart emoji next to her name in your phone? Why are you still wearing your wedding ring?" He looked down at his left hand, where a simple gold band still sat on his ring finger. I hadn't noticed it before, but now I couldn't look away from it. I forgot I still had it on," he mumbled, starting to pull it off. "Don't," I said. "Don't take it off for me. Take it off when you're actually divorced, when you're actually free to be with someone new." The hurt in his eyes was almost unbearable, but I knew I was doing the right thing, finally doing the right thing. "So that's it?" he asked. "You're just going to throw away what we have?" "What we have is built on a lie, Marcus. Maybe not an intentional one, but still a lie. You made me fall for you while you were married to someone else. That's not fair." He stood up slowly, defeat written all over his face. "I can't make you change my mind. The only thing that would change my mind is if you were completely, legally, emotionally free, and you're not." He picked up the flowers he'd brought and headed toward the door. Then he turned back one last time. "Sarah, when my divorce is final, and it will be final, can I call you then?" I wanted to say yes. Every fiber of my being wanted to say yes. But I also knew that by then, who knows where we'd both be? Who knows what other complications might arise? I don't know, Marcus. I honestly don't know. After Marcus left, I cried harder than I had in years. Not just because I was losing him, but because I was losing the dream of us, the future I'd started imagining, the possibility of love I'd felt for the first time in so long. I called Emma immediately. "He came here?" she shrieked into the phone. "He flew from Portugal?" I think I made a huge mistake. What if he really is getting divorced? What if I'm throwing away my soulmate over technicalities? "Sarah," Emma said gently, "listen to yourself. You're calling his active marriage a technicality. That's not a technicality. That's a whole entire wife." She was right. I knew she was right, but it didn't make it hurt any less. Marcus didn't give up easily. Over the next month, I received flowers, letters, even a video message where he showed me more divorce paperwork. He was persistent. I'll give him that. But with each gesture, I became more convinced I'd made the right choice. Because someone who's truly ready to move on doesn't have to try so hard to prove they're moving on. They just move on. The final straw came when I received a message from someone named Elena on Instagram. "Hi Sarah, I don't know if you know who I am, but I'm Marcus's wife. I wanted you to know that despite what he might have told you, we are not getting divorced. We're in marriage counseling, trying to work things out. I thought you should know the truth." My blood ran cold. Marriage counseling, trying to work things out. That was very different from the story Marcus had told me. I screenshotted Elena's message and sent it to Marcus with just one question. "Is this true?" He called me immediately, of course. "Sarah, she's lying. She's trying to sabotage us because she knows I'm leaving her." But something in his voice sounded different, less confident, more desperate. "Marcus, just tell me the truth. Are you in marriage counseling with your wife?" Long pause. We went to a few sessions, but only because the lawyer recommended it for the divorce proceedings." That's not what she said. "Sarah, you're going to believe her over me, some jealous woman who doesn't want to let me go." And that's when I knew for sure. The way he talked about Elena, his own wife, with such disdain and dismissal. If he could speak about someone he'd once loved enough to marry that way, how would he eventually speak about me? I blocked Marcus everywhere, again, but this time it stuck. It's been 3 months since then, and I still think about him sometimes, about that connection we had, about what might have been if circumstances were different. But I also know I saved myself from a situation that would have only gotten more complicated, more painful, more damaging to my self-respect and my faith in love. Here's what I learned from this whole experience. Love isn't enough. Connection isn't enough. Chemistry isn't enough. You also need honesty, availability, and respect. Marcus might have given me the first 3, but he failed completely on the last 3. I deserved better than being someone's secret. I deserved better than being the other woman, even if his marriage was ending. I deserved someone who was completely, unequivocally free to love me. And you know what? So do you. If you're in a situation where someone is asking you to wait while they sort out their complicated situation, remember my story. Remember that you deserve someone whose love for you doesn't come with asterisks and conditions and legal complications. As for Marcus, I heard through mutual friends that he and Elena are still together, still working on their marriage. I don't know if that's true, and honestly, I don't want to know. What I do know is that I made the right choice. It was the hardest choice, but it was the right one. And someday, when the right person comes along, someone who's actually available, I'll be so glad I didn't settle for complicated love, because real love shouldn't be that complicated. Thanks for listening to my story. If it resonated with you, please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to hear more real stories from real women navigating the messy, beautiful, complicated world of modern love. Until next time, remember, you are worth uncomplicated love.